Final Fantasy Origins Strangers of Paradise is a game about chaos. And also this fucking edgelord. This video didn't come out as I had expected it to when I played it in March and scripted it. I couldn't really make this video because circumstances, and making this video now, oh boy, it's bad. Like, it's really bad. And I didn't know what I was talking about half the time, and I almost bashed my head into the wall in front of me, trying to rank the top 3 bosses. But just like my favorite actor of all time, Tommy Wiseau, says, sometimes bad is funny, and The Room is a masterpiece. So yeah, you might have fun watching. Just saying. Now, let's get into it. Number 19, Great Malbo. This might be the only throwaway boss fight in this game, and even so, it is not that bad. The boss is basically inherently a souped up version of the basic Malboro enemies, and if you take the Earth Crystal route before the Fire one, you can probably fight a lot of them. And after like fighting 10 of them, fighting this boss was pretty underwhelming. In his first phase, the only attack that is even noticeable is when he buries his tentacles into the ground and tries to poke you with them, which is a good tactic to keep you away from the boss, but it only extends the snooze fest. His second phase is basically way too easy. The thing is that its crit spot is behind him, and as he loses his tentacles, basically circling around him becomes pretty easy. What they should have done is make us deal weak damage from behind him and make its crit spot its face, because you know you'll have to fight the boss that way. Anyway, it's not a bad boss, but just a forgettable throwaway boss fight. The Possess is just a Commander Bike refight, except it's even easier because he doesn't spawn his 2 helpers from time to time. I don't really get the logic of making us fight the same boss again but making him easier. I mean, on the contrary, it should be more difficult, huh? I guess it could be for story purposes only, but the guy gets like 2 minutes of screen time, so yeah. Even then, fighting Bike is always fun, so the only reason why he's here is because it's a refight. Darkness Incarnate, aka Beaker Chaos. If there's one thing I love in this fight, it's the dialogue. I was half expecting the cutscene to go like, I'm Chaos, no, I'm Chaos. I'm Chaos, no, I am. Me. The quality of the boss depends on how you fight him. If you fight him ranged, then like you can see here, it's pretty manageable. Plus you fight this dude alone your first time, but it doesn't really matter as these guys you don't do much, except when they manage to save my ass. Anywho, unlike what the game tells you, dealing with his projectiles is pretty easy. If you do fuck up, it's not like he can combo you into oblivion. But if you fight him melee, this dude, no joke, is more full of BS than Malenia, the blade of Micheloid. If you have fought her or seen somebody fight her, you know how fucked she is. But at least it is possible to beat her, but beating Chaos without some busted upgrades which I didn't have is basically impossible. You know what? Fight him. You'll have fun, or don't. It's not like this game is that good, but still, it's worth it. Because I played it, and if I suffer, you must suffer too. Even though you most likely won't even listen to me. And this is completely pointless. Number 16, Astos. This boss is a story of 2 phases in both quality and difficulty. His first phase is fucked, even more than Chaos 0.5, because you get wrecked even if you use magic, as the dude can teleport on a dime to any point in the arena and does this sword slash attack, which I still don't know the timing for. He has this cool hammer attack, and he has ranged assaults, all of which are pretty easy to deal with and give you like instant weapons, and I hope he did that more often. But his most fucked attack by far, which single-handedly lands him so low, is his 1-2 combo. Like shit, this thing is so hard to fucking look at. Like when you are fighting this dude with 2 people who basically have even more flamboyant attacks, this dude's stealth just hides within them, and he moves so fast that you just couldn't possibly react. I think it would have been better to fight Astos alone and in a brighter arena. His second phase is fucking child's play compared to the first. His mobility in his first phase is completely gone, so if you manage your MP properly, unlike me, you just have to back off and heal. The only terrifying attack of his is his own Tri-Blast from Tiamat, but unlike her, he doesn't use it that often. I like this fight a bit because of the character dynamic between Astos and Jack. Look at how cute this is, oh my god. But that alone can't carry this perfectly imbalanced boss fight. Your own team, baby. I know that you can't really call this a boss fight, but it is a unique encounter and these guys take a fuck ton of damage to go down, so I guess I will. This boss has to be one of the most sadistic bosses I've ever fought in any game, which literally lets you kill your own team. This is like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. If this game's story was good in an unironic way, then killing these guys would have been even more emotional. Conversely speaking, these guys did accompany you through the highs and lows of the game, so it is enough. The only problem with this boss is that it really isn't a boss because your teammates can't hurt you, so it just basically boils down to you just beating the living shit out of them, and it takes a while to even kill one of them, so it's fucking merciless and I love it.
Energy, so long as I live. Who I am, I don't give a fuck who you are. I am Lich, and I shall devour all that is good.
Now let's get into the good boss category. Yeah, already. Lich is a good boss, if not just a bit too annoying. His first phase consists of him doing various range assaults and also attacks to keep you off of him. And also summoning
Skeletons and shivers down your
skellies. Now, if a boss respawn enemies consistently, I would usually call them trash, but in this game it is a good way to even the odds, as either you can take on the mobs to gain MP or go mano-a-mano with the boss. Thing is, the boss seemed to not give a fuck about my teammates poking his asshole and always fired on me, which created chaos. As now I have to handle both the skellies while keeping an eye on the boss. Still, sometimes your teammates can also take on the skellies, bait their posture and just give you free MP. His second phase is more annoying, mainly because of his grab. I don't know how you're supposed to dodge this except just running away. Also, this grab has range, so yeah. Plus, if you don't know it's coming, it will get you. I hate grabs in this game and this guy might just have the worst one. He has two more notable attacks, his big ass combo which I advise to dodge the first half then parry the rest. It got me at first just because of how long it went on for, but after only dying once I got him. He has a big ass abyss which I don't really know what it does, but he stays still, so I just beat the shit out of him. Maybe it's a debuff, but I didn't notice jack shit. In the end, a decent boss with good mechanics, but just is a little bit annoying. Number 13, Black Knight. First of all, this dude's name could take a major upgrade. This dude's second phase could have been a normal enemy to be real, but his first phase is pretty cool. He bum rushes you, which I tried and failed many times to try and stop the attack to no avail, but it is very easy to just dodge. He has his lance swipes on horseback, but compared to some of the horseback bosses in Elden Ring, this just felt underwhelming. His second phase is also good as he starts using tornado attacks and such, which were pretty cool in this fight as I thought it was unique. A unique move by the knight, but at the end of the game even bats started forming tornadoes, screwing the overall logic of the game. My favorite move is when he clones himself, evening the odds and giving this fight a much needed boost in difficulty, but even then it was pretty easy. It's just very easy to get in, throw a few attacks and get out of his range, making the fight a cakewalk. But it is the third fight of the game, so it shouldn't really be that difficult. Cool boss, only really above average. Number 12, Behemoth. This fight's biggest deterrent is the arena. This dude himself covers like half of it, and if you get cornered, holy shit, you can't see shit. And his big move consists of him bum rushing you into a corner. His tail swipe genuinely gives me Vietnam flashbacks from the White Tiger, which is the most funk boss created from Team Ninja and it's present in Neo 1, I guess. His second phase really disappointed me. He had the potential to be one of the best bosses in the entire game. When Jack decides to finish the behemoth off, this Chad absorbs the power of the crystals to become stronger and also look cooler. The main gimmick of this phase is that in order to damage the boss, you have to hit the areas with crystals on them. Now, I was expecting that when you hit the crystals on the different limbs of his body, that part would break and he would no longer use that part to do any attacks correlated to that limb. For example, his leg so he can rush, his tail so he can tail swipe, his hand so he could claw slash, and in the end, his head. Seriously, think about how awesome that would be, and the satisfaction of breaking a boss into nothing can't be rivaled by a lot of things. But what the real boss boiled down to was me sticking to its left leg and hacking away, while my good teammates distracted him. Even then, it was a good fight, which could have been great. Number 11. Chimera. This boss has one fault. That is, it is very easy. It doesn't have a lot of attacks. The one it does are pretty predictable, except when it goes in the air, doesn't attack, swoops down. Now with experience, I could tell you this is where the attack ends and you punish. But nope, he does a grab after that. Holy shit, easily the most memorable combo on the entire list. But you can't trivialize it, as you can knock him down with a good axe swing. He has a poison breath attack and a water attack, sort of, I don't know. His second phase is really cool. Now his head and the two snakes start working in unison, as the head does the poison attack, this other snake does the fire attack, and the other one is like, guys, don't worry about it, I'll watch your back, and then sticks to the Chimera's ass like glue and proceeds to do nothing. In the end, pretty cool boss. It would have been better if they actually added something difficult in the fight. Number 10. Elemental Core. This boss has a pretty unique concept, as the first phase starts off with the main core, which is the real boss, spawning a fire elemental and a water elemental who have their own attack stream, which mostly is the same as their respective lesser mobs, except for their own special moves. Now he first spawns a fire elemental, you down him, the core falls down, and then you wail on him. Then he spawns a water elemental, you bring her down to a quarter health, then the fire dude comes out, and then it turns into a gang fight, which would have been pretty cool if it didn't last for like 5 seconds. If they gave this boss one whole health bar, it would have been pretty cool, but alas, they had to make this shit bot. The fuck were they thinking? This phase is very different from the first, as he does a lot of range attacks and also throws himself onto you and leaves plenty of reprieve so you can wail on him or heal. It is an okay second phase, but because the two phases are so different from each other, they leave each other lacking. They could have also put the shit ball with the two elementals and done some balance changes to make it a fun 3v3, but as it stands, it's still a good fight. Number 9. Chaos Advent. Now this fight would have been way lower if the ending didn't affect the fight greatly. Turns out this dude next to line to be Chaos is you, or your brother from another mother from another world. Maybe, I don't know the story and shit, but I like to imagine that. Anywho, the Chaos's first phase is a basic night fight, but he coats his weapon with fire, but it doesn't make that much of a difference until phase 2, and oh boy, phase 2 is a difficulty spike. Not because the entire phase is hard, no, it's just one attack. This ice combo which has godly range. I died 6 times to this attack alone. I died the most to Chaos than I died to any tutorial boss in the entirety of the Souls-like genre. Because the best way to really fight fast or even slow bosses in this game is by parrying, especially this dude. I just could never get the timings down for this at one attack, like fuck. Except that he has a grab which can and will catch you throughout the arena. He has a pretty cool blood AoE attack, I don't know, but it looks cool, and his fire attacks are now way stronger. A pretty cool boss ruined by like one move for me. Number 8. Zombie Dragon. First of all, his soundtrack is some of the wackiest shit I've listened to ever. Just listen. Dude, this theme doesn't work as well without the context of fighting a giant undead dragon which just pops out of nowhere. I can't take this fight seriously even though Ash said I should. And why is this dude here anyways? The mechanic that really holds this fight back in my opinion is that he leaves dead skin whenever he is crawling about under him. which damages you and slows you down, and that with his BS AoE attack, and you got a recipe for disaster. That's why I like using magic for this boss, but it isn't as fun as fighting the dragon head on, as the only real move he has is his poison breath in both of their phases, learning which is pretty annoying, and also his bum rush, which is so fucking slow that you can dodge it in your sleep. But yeah, his second phase gets a bit more interesting, as when he loses half his body he starts burrowing into the ground and coming out right below you. Fighting him with melee now is pretty much what you should do, as you'll be able to get in more frequently, and dodging his tentacles would be pretty cool as well, and I would have done that if I fought him again. So yeah, his first phase sort of annoying, second phase pretty good, and his design and music top tier. Also, you can actually damage his head to stop the dead meat, but doing that is easier said than done, and even more annoying, as by the time you do it, he will already have less than half health in his first health bar, making it a slogfest still. Number 7. Iron Giant. This boss had pretty good build up. You can hit him in the level below, and I must say that's something that not a lot of bosses share in general. This boss itself kind of felt like the boss version of the giant enemies. That's why his first phase was very easy. Sure, he does mix it up with some ranged magic assaults, but it's just not enough to make him any more difficult. Even then, it was pretty fun fighting the first phase. Second phase, he loses half his body and starts rolling. Damn right. I'm working on my voice. And the only one reason why he doesn't feel nauseated is because he's a robot. Makes sense. Good job, game. This phase is way more difficult, as this dude can cover the arena twice with just rolling. No, I won't do it again. And so you have to learn how to parry him, but even though you can, your teammates sadly can't, and that's the reason why I had the most gut-wrenching fight with this dude, and I won with like 1 HP and my heart was pumping like crazy. The thing is, even though I was in the situation of getting one-shotted by bosses, a lot of times I knew that my team would distract them. I would get a few sneaky hits in, and then I would build MP and heal up again. This was not the case with the knight, which was good, and I hope more bosses did that. And also, the main attack was spinning, so it's not like you could parry ranged magic to get MP back. His other attacks consist of him generating a magnetic field and doing a variety of attacks that you can imagine to mix things up. A heart-pumping battle this one was indeed. Number 6. Malith. Let me tell you, from now on all the bosses are basically in the same tier. All of them are great, not amazing or masterpieces, but fun, unique fights which generally make use of the mechanics of the game, and it's basically personal preference by this point for me. But number 6 is Fire God. At first I fucking despised this battle, then I realized how useful my teammates can be when they are motivated. Bury the light deep within. Yes, I realized that after completing half the game. The boss can be very overwhelming at first, just because of how fast she is, but her melee attacks don't do that much break damage, so don't parry them, just block them. The best strat is just mixing motivation between your teammates to keep her distracted, learn her tail smash and win the fight. Except when the second phase comes around and she imbues herself with flames, which is pretty much a dick move of every fire boss imaginable. This phase becomes a lot more fun because of her range attacks, and parrying all of them and then sending them back, feels good. Learning these things timings is that parry first, then let the iframes handle the next one, parry the third one, and then so on, then send them straight back to her. She attains a few more moves like the fire eruption and this big ass flame AoE, which you can parry, something I realized from the Astos boss fight. This boss is pretty pitch perfect. It could have done with more moves and more ways to handle her, but as it stands with context to the game's mechanics, awesome fight. Number 5. Kraken. We have entered the top 5 and the video is 20 minutes long. Yeah, I don't think a lot of people have watched this far, or at least watched the entire video so far. Anyways, Kraken. This fight has one glaring fault, that it takes way too long to die. Even with an optimized build, maybe that was the problem, but still, which makes it a snooze fest after we learned all his moves, which isn't that hard as the boss himself doesn't do many complex attacks and also does not do that much damage. His range is pretty incredible. I will say that much. The second phase is much more of the same, except he does a new attack where he dives under the water and jumps back up after a while with a tsunami attack, covering a lot of ground and also giving him a temporary buff. You can stop this attack by hitting the electricity containers if the boss himself didn't stumble upon all of them. Good thing is you can hit any one of the electricity containers to electrify the water, bringing him back and stunning him in return. Now I think what you were supposed to do a lot of damage to the boss is hit the containers when near to stun him and then hit his behind for critical damage, and do that in general. But it was generally tough doing that, maybe because of the team distracting him or the lack of a lock-on button, I don't know. But as it stands, it's a mechanically strong boss which won't do well in replays. That's it. The other boss with a great theme is the Grey Claw. Felt kind of out of place when put with the rest of the bosses, but I dig that. Grey Claw could have been a throwaway boss, but a lot of things beside his mechanics really save him. The music, the design, I like the growing algae, makes it feel old and uncared for. The build up with the entire laser hazard before the fight becoming his main source of attack. The area before him in general being machine heavy, subtly hinting to a boss of this kind. This boss is kind of hard, and you know that when I whip out my mage build. So I whip that out, I focus his attention on me so my AI bros, the only real friends I'll ever have, can damage his legs, and once he's down, capitalize on that as much as possible. I think this is the second best example of targeting weak points for better results in the game, and could have been better if we had a half decent lock-on system. The second phase has a few attacks which he likes to do every so often, like this really long parable combo, and also a really cool attack where he attracts you and then pushes you away, which dictates the next move he's gonna do in order to disadvantage you the most. God, that was cool, and also cooler to learn, as you know what he was cooking up in his tin can of a head. And he also has one of the most useless features in any boss of the game, to camouflage itself. Like shit, you can see this dude with one eye closed and being colorblind, cause lines, you know. And also he does his delayed wombo combo whenever he does. So yeah, freaking cool boss, but we still have 3 more to go. Number 3, Tiamat. Easily the hardest boss fight in the game, almost to the point where I generally couldn't fight it using melee, basically because of regeneration factor on top of the giant health bar. So the only real way to win is by using magic, but unlike any other Souls-like boss in general, she has so many range attacks that if you fuck up even once, you possibly can die. So yeah, her first phase is relatively tame, but her second, holy fuck, she has 2 range attacks in this phase. The Tri-Blast, which is a 1-shot, and the Wind Blast, which is a 2-shot. Both have heavily varied timings and almost the same tells, so have fun. The Tri-Blast is the one move I died to the most, as it is pretty heavily delayed. On the contrary, the Wind Blast is very quick and can combine it with her Stomp attack, which also caught me off guard, as she almost always did a combo afterwards, but in the end I literally had to master both the phases, and when I finally got to beat her, and obviously I lost the footage for that, so guess my luck, it was pure vanity when I did do that. And considering even with all the BS in this fight, it was an awful lot fair when doing it with mage at least. The only reason why it's down here is because it's wildly, well not widely, but benefits magic than melee. The main reasons why is that most common 2-piece combo can be interrupted by your teammates, and it can then turn into a really buggy sort of attack, and even into like a 3-piece combo, then that proceeds to kill you. Another point is that when using the fire spell, which is easily the best, you can literally take all her heads down clean, making her unable to do her most dangerous Tri-Blast attack. And also she'll need to regenerate, giving you another opportunity to attack, and if your timing is good enough, you can take her heads off after she got them back, trivializing the boss quite a lot. Even then this boss is fantastic, but there is one boss that beats it. Number 2, Commander Bike. This dude has to be the most fun boss in the entire game, and maybe I just want to put this boss right here because it perfectly encapsulates any feelings towards this game's bosses, that they might not be amazing, but they are at the very least pretty fun to fight. Commander Bike is a boss that takes humongous advantage of the Ronin job and how fucking satisfying it is to get a strong dash attack. It is fucking orgasmic, and it is made possible because firstly you just got this weapon, meaning if you aren't a mage bitch you will be using this weapon to fight him, and the boss is using an axe, and that weapon is slow and strong and makes using this strategy all the more worthwhile. With that out of the way, there isn't really anything inherently wrong with this boss's mechanic except the fact that there could have been more variety in his attacks and a better and harder phase 2, but it is only really the second boss of the game, and the mechanics being simple is not bad paired with the fact that he brings 2 more pirates and commands them with his voice to attack you, which is pretty cool. Plus the pirates, like I said before, help in evening the odds and works perfectly here. I could either fight and experience the boss one-on-one and realize that dodging and parrying this attack gives a good window of opportunity to attack on top of gaining more AP, or beating the pirates up and again gain MP. That way to bring the fight back to a one-on-one. This fight is truly amazing at what it does, and what it does is provide a fun, fair and challenging enough boss fight worthy of this spot. Number 1, Krista. I don't give a fuck. Easy the best boss in the game, and the Krista, just look at the chaos. But yeah, that's for that's the end of the video. What I've written in the script and what my mindset after finishing making this video is quite different. Making this video was quite a chore and I had to force myself through to it. I did not enjoy it a lot, especially like the top 4, but it is what it is. I need to get this video out because I worked hard scripting it, and I was like, that would go to fucking waste if I didn't do everything in my power to make this video. But yeah, I will say that I will emphasize that you should watch Bayonetta 2 vid and maybe even play this game. I don't think so that it's really that worth it, but still. And that's pretty much it. Expect a better video, and if you did watch till the end, which I don't think really anybody did. So yeah, see you then. Bye.